All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first one of 2024 for the entire Vigil Master Agency. I'm excited that you guys are here. So one of the things that I did over the break was I realized that I didn't have a good set of core values that were written down, right? Like I've lived off of core values, and the number one that I've always lived off of, right, is the golden rule. You guys all know that, right? Like that my grandfather brought me up on that. So I'm gonna post this right now. I was waiting until everyone was on. And I'm gonna post it on WhatsApp. So boom, there. It's out for everyone to see. So I made mine kind of fun, right? So I did mine based off of my last name. So Vigil, right? So every letter of my last name starts what one of the core values is. So virtuous living, uphold moral excellence in every action, fostering a culture of honesty, compassion, and respect. Because we can all say, right, that everything that, that cemetery has a good core value system, right? Or any business has a good core value system. But do we honestly, or sorry, a good culture, that's what I was trying to say, a good culture. But we've all seen, right, where a culture can be fractured. And the reason why a culture can be fractured is because of lack of honesty. And that is something I've noticed across every company, right? Once that honesty is broken, once that trust factor is broken, the entire culture breaks down, right? So coming into this year, we have a lot of people joining us from a lot of different factions, right? So Keith is rejoining Cemetery from a different group, right, altogether. Jerry was with Cemetery 6 years ago, right? I mean, he was here a long time ago. We've got Brenda, joining us, joining the Vigil agency again, right? Let's see, Loretta from Avila's agency, right? Kiana's from a different master agency that's joining ours. So we have all these people that are coming here for a reason, right? So I want that reason to be strong and I want it to be centered, right? So if we cannot open, if we can't have that honesty right here and compassion and respect for each other, it will never work. So that's something I want us all to work for. That's what I am going to work off of this year alone, is going to be these core values. I love the cemetery core values, you know what I mean? But I want these ones to be the ones that I focus on because this is how I believe. Invest in yourself daily. We talk about this anyway, right? But invest, so dedicate time regularly for personal and professional growth, encouraging continuous learning and development. This means whatever it wants to be for you specifically, right? Like some people have weight loss goals. Some people have just, they want to not be an introvert anymore and they want to move towards that extrovert side, right? There's people that feel that they don't provide any value to their family and they want to provide value to their family, or they want to be seen as a valuable person or asset to their family. So this applies to all of us, right? In some way, shape, or form. And after talking with all of you guys about your goals, there was one common theme that I saw there. Everyone cares about their family or their core group of people, right? Because not everyone's married, not everyone has kids, but everyone has that core group of people that they care about. And I want us to be included in that as well, right? Because this is your other family. And I want you guys to think of this as family. I've always said that. I mean, Brenda, Val, you guys know that. You guys have been here the longest. Shania, but like a family, if we can operate as a family, operating as a team will be a heck of a lot easier, right? But here's what happens with family, and everyone knows this, right? You got your good days, you got your bad days. You love each other, you hate each other, right? And there's all those things that go on. But if we can work from just a few core values to work together, I feel like we all will be able to grow. And I think a lot of us have been stuck over the past few years due to self-limiting beliefs, right? Due to being in environments where it wasn't conducive to learning or growing. So that's something that I want to see change for everyone across the board, okay? Sorry, I'm going back to it. Genuinely care about others. So foster authentic connections, demonstrating empathy and support for colleagues, clients, and the community. So the empathy part is important to me because across every organization out there, and this is service organizations, church organizations especially, business organizations, like fraternities and sororities, only a certain amount of people actually care, right, about what's going on. The rest of the people, so it's like that 80-20 rule. 80% of people really don't give a crap of what's going on, right? I mean, they don't. They're not going to contribute. They're not going to plug in X, Y, Z. You can see it right here. We got 12 people on total, right? Now, how big is our agency? It is a fairly large agency. Contracted, we have 242 people in the master agency. Active agents, though, that have written a policy, in the last 6 months is 78. We have 78 people that have actively written a policy in our agency in the last 6 months. In the last year, that goes up to 112. So you guys are 10% of that whole group, right? So on G, right? So foster authentic connections, demonstrating empathy and support for colleagues, clients, and the community. Amongst each other, right? We all have people that we can reach out to individually. Shania, Brenda, Shania, right? Selena, Shania, Val with me, Val with Susan, right? Gloria, Matt, TI, me, TI, Matt, right? Just for those ones, Jerry, myself, Keith, myself, those are the connections, right, that we have for each other. But I want you guys to work within this agency as well to find other people that you can work with. Everyone should have had a goal that I set for them, right? To find an outside accountability partner, someone outside of the agency, right? Someone outside of the business. And the reason I say outside of the business is because it's so easy, and I've said this to all of you, it's so easy for someone in the business to let you off the hook, right? If you say you had a bad day on the phones, or you had a cancellation or something like that, it's too relatable to the other person that's being your accountability partner. So if you have someone that's not in the industry, I think that would make a better accountability partner. And I could be wrong, guys. I mean, I could be totally wrong with that, right? This is a new thing. I did run it by Brian Williamson, and he thought that it was pretty good, right? Like, he thought that the plan that I put together with everyone, to identify something that you wanted for yourself, something that you wanted for your family or your core group of people, and then what you wanted to do for others, was a good plan of action for goal setting. He's like, I've never seen it done that way, Michael. He's like, and I'm interested to see where it goes, but this is really good. And he wants to join us next Tuesday on this call to kind of go over, his version of goal setting as well, so we can tie it all together. 4, integrity. Adhere unwaveringly to ethical principles, ensuring transparency, honesty, accountability in all endeavors. And you can see I've got honesty in there twice, right? Within the 2 core values. Because when we're dealing with other people's information, guys, we have to be very strict and very careful with that information, right? What we share. I've made that mistake of sharing information that I thought I was allowed to share with someone else, right? In order to find help or to help that person. And I was wrong. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn. Okay. So I want to have that integrity, right? Have that transparency with others, and have that accountability. As you guys all know, I put accountability in everyone's goals, right? Like, or not in your goals, but I put it in everyone's game plan, because we all need accountability. I need accountability, right? Kyle and Lisa need accountability. Danny Young needs accountability, right? Like, all the way up the chain through this business, everyone needs accountability. My pastor was talking about how he needs accountability, right? He has other people that he reaches out to have that accountability. And then number 5, right? And this is why I stay in this business more than anything else, is to leave a lasting legacy. Strive to make a positive, enduring impact through your work, inspiring others to contribute to a meaningful and more sustainable future, right? So the better that we make this opportunity for others, the longer your legacy lasts, right? Because you'll be able to contribute to them. And when we help them grow, when we help a new person grow, they learn the ways that works for them. And when they help someone else grow, the opportunity just gets easier, or simpler, I should say. Easier, I got to be careful with that word, because some people take it too literal. But, it becomes a simpler process. So now that everyone has heard them, is there any input on them? I know it's a lot to digest.
No, I think it's a fun idea of how you base it off of your last name, because then it kind of just pulls in, who you are and why you're doing the things, because that's your last name. So it's fun to base it off of that.
Yeah, and I was wanting it to, be a way that I could remember as well, right? And then people on the team to remember as well. It's like, oh, Vigil, right? Like this is what he wants to live off of. And you guys can hold me accountable on my core values as well, right? Like, hey, Vigil, you're not working off of integrity, like and call me out on it, whatever the case is, right? And that's what I want it for. I want this to be a way for us to lift other people up, right? Not call each other out. So anyone else? What is everyone so besides, let's see, besides Val, Ti, and Brenda, how do you guys feel about your goals so far? You guys had a week, a week or almost a week, to dwell on them, to think about them. What do you guys think of them so far? Do we break them down enough to really grasp them? Because that was my concern, right? Is that, and for those of you guys that I met a second time, and Brenda, Val, Ti, you guys will get this as well. When I broke them down, I asked everyone what their income goal was, right? And then we found out what they want for January. And then we're working from January, and then we'll build on the quarter, we'll build on the half a year, we'll build on the full year. Yes, working from the end forward is the ultimate goal, but here's what I found, and I did it for myself. If I set a goal of $5 million for this master agency, and after January we haven't done 100,000 as an agency, what does that do to my mental psyche, right? Like I'm like, oh my goodness, we still have 490,000 or $4,990,000 to go, whatever the case is, right? Like that's a lot to break down in 11 months. How is that possible? But when we start with something that's attainable and we build on it, I think we'll be able to achieve our goals better and faster. Or we can readjust them based off of our life, because our life does change. I'm going to pick on Val for a moment because she always lets me. Val had an opportunity to work in the industry that her daughter is going to thrive in for the rest of her life, right? And she took that opportunity. So did that mean she had to step away from here for a little while? Yes. And we've known that, right? Like Val has always done that. Like if there's a show, she's gone for a couple weeks. But now this is a longer step away. And that's okay. But she told us in advance. That's part of the honesty, the integrity, right? Hey, Vigil, look, I want to be there, but Tuesdays we have a staff meeting. I won't be there, but I'll touch base with you. Okay. Not a problem, right? But for Val, if Val told me, hey, Michael, I want to make $500,000 in 2024, I'm going to tell her, Val, let's be a little more realistic, right? Let's work at $125,000, break that down, and then we can build on it from there, right? Like that's attainable. It's something we can understand, because the human brain does not understand when you're trying to make 4, 5, 10 times more than you've ever made in your entire life, right? Like it's really hard to understand that. And you guys hear the numbers, right, on all the calls. Like that video game money seems unattainable, but we see it happening all the time. We have to work our way up to it, though. Fair? What is it? I want to know what everyone's thoughts are. Like, honestly, I want to know what your guys' thoughts. Because this is all new to me too, right?
I think breaking things down monthly like that is really smart, and starting with smaller goals that are achievable is within grasp and not like a big, like, yes, I see those numbers in the daily huddle and I'm like, yeah, I'm not near that, but I know it's possible, but I know where I need to start, and it's encouraging to be able to say, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Like, I remember Matt was like, I need $25 a day. Like,
Yep.
yeah. And that, it's like, sometimes you're like, and I'm actually guilty of this, is like, I want this, but it's like, no, you really actually just need to eat. So let's go for that.
Yeah. And I mean, Matt does a great job of that, right? Like he breaks it all the way down to like, how much monthly premium do I need to sign today in order to hit my goal for the week, in order to hit it for the month, And when you break it down, like, yeah, $25, that's $300 a day, right? $300 times 5 is what? 1,500, right? 1,500 times 4 is $6,000. I mean, to understand it that way, it's very simple. Go ahead, Brenda. I saw you unmuted.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, it's definitely, and I'm guilty of this, and I mean, I've been here a little while, and you see all these big goals and everybody, hitting the leaderboards, and but it's hard also to not compare your efforts on what you do versus what they've done, and how, like you said, try not to use the word easy, because is this easy? No, but is it complicated? No, but it's also that, putting yourself into it and actually doing what it takes to make it happen. Because yeah, it's so fun, having access to Bo, having access to Craig, having access to all these people who are making it happen, but they're not any different than any of us that we can't do it either.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about it is they go through the same struggles, right? They're human. They go through the same struggles that we do. And a lot of times they actually go through harder struggles. Because when you make a lot of money and you're growing like that, you know what happens? You have a lot of chargebacks, right? And how you deal with that is hard. Like I remember there was someone here, and this was when I first started. They had deposited $1.2 million their second year here. And I think Val knows who I'm talking about. And then they left, right? And Eric Andrick got stuck with like $300,000 in chargebacks and roll-ups, right? Because that whole leg left. And when they went to the new place, they churned all that business. And there was nothing they could do about it, right? Like there are rules like against churning, right? Like, but you have to prove that it was legitimate churning, and there's a whole process behind it. And I mean, imagine if Eric Andrick would have quit 6 years ago, 7 years ago. That means that Steven Jackson wouldn't have been on his team. That means that Chris Leak wouldn't have been on his team. That means that what's her name now? Brenda, help me out with her name.
Sierra, Sierra, Shannon,
Steven Jackson's old.
Shannon Turner.
Shannon Turner, yes. And then Craig, right? Like 4 lines of business. I mean, those 4 lines of business over just the last 3 years have done something like $10 million in business, which has given Eric like 2.5 million in deposits. But that's because he didn't quit, right? But a lot of people would have quit seeing they had $300,000 in roll-ups or chargebacks. So that's why when I said we've got to break it down, it's easier to understand, right? So like when Matt and I dealt with a huge roll-up, $90,000, right, from Mutual of Omaha, from one agent that had unscrupulous business, we broke it down. It's like, okay, if we pay back $12,000 a month, it's doable, right? And we worked at it. We broke it down. We broke it down by how much we had to write daily in order to have a deposit and pay the chargeback, right? Because Mutual of Omaha worked with us where they only did 25%, and then it went up to 50 after so long. So they took 25% of our commission to the chargeback, right? And then we still were able to get a deposit of 75. And then because we didn't hit a certain level within 6 months, they kept 50%. And we got to roll up, we got to keep 50%. So, but we were able to break it down and understand, okay, how much do we have to write to offset this? And we were never able to recoup any of that from the other agent. You know what I mean? I did go after that person's license though, and that person will never be able to get an insurance license in their life again. Because what they did was completely wrong. They wrote a bunch of disability products on the simplified issue on every single life insurance client they had, and that none of their life insurance clients knew it. So it was a legitimate case of fraud. But again, so what I'm trying to say is we broke that down very, very small, right, in order for us to be able to tackle that. It's like the whole thing, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So that's how we have to take our goals as well. Yes, there's the SMART goals and there's the other ways of doing it, but there's really, everyone's goals are individual, and how we adapt daily is how we're going to be able to achieve those. So I want to make sure that we're also talking about our goals openly and regularly. Okay. Anyone else have any feedback?
I don't understand your chargeback.
I'm sorry.
My wife was just asking, she's just getting started. She doesn't understand chargeback. Could you explain that? so she's sitting 3 feet across the table from me. So
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Welcome, Nicole. So a chart, so if you write like let's say you wrote $100 policy, right? $100 a month. It's $1,200 in total premium. If you're a brand new agent, you're going to get about $700 of that deposited, right? And if the client cancels it within 30 days or 60 days, you're going to get a chargeback. So whatever the amount of commission you got deposited would be owed back to the company, right? So like if you bought a policy from me, Keith, today, and then you canceled it 2 weeks from now, you're like, hey, I can't afford this. I don't want this anymore. So I got paid on it 2 days from now. You cancel it. I got to pay back that money, right? So, but the way that the chargebacks work with the insurance companies is they don't reach into your bank account and take the money out, right? They let you work it off through future commissions. So if you write another policy, you can wash it off. You know what I mean? So if you write another one with the same value, it'll wash it off. So anyone else have a simpler explanation, or does that work for you, Nicole?
That works. I'm
Okay.
just trying to understand terminology.
Yep, and you'll get it now that you're doing your studies. You'll understand. They talk about it a little bit in your studies. So guys, Keith and Nicole are joining us. She's in the process of getting licensed right now. She gave herself talk about accountability, right, Nicole? She wants to take her test by the 8th of this month, so 6 days.
I quit my job.
Yes, she quit her job. Yep. So both
for
of
good reason. It wasn't a planned event. It just kind of snowballed, just kind of happened because of weather events, but it works. I looked at it this last week. It's like, well, we can live on my outside income alone. We don't have any real horrendous bills. We've gotten rid of a whole bunch of debt this last year. So we can live on, because I get paid effective pretty much twice a month or every 2 weeks, typically. Depends on how the month falls. Sometimes three paychecks in a month. Like this month is a 3 paycheck month by date.
Right.
All of our bills are effectively paid for in one of my checks. So like half of my income pays all our bills. Half of our income is living expenses, investing in the business, fun stuff, whatever, giving here and there. And we tend to do very practical forms of sowing and reaping. We'll go out to breakfast. We're actually probably going to leave just as soon as this call is over, because we'll have our pay loaded and we're going to go out to breakfast and we leave a healthy tip. We do things like that. This whole last year where we started this time last year is where we're starting this time this year, where we ended up 2023 is completely different story from where it started. And we didn't really have a set plan in place. We just went full force, wild, crazy, and stupid. See what works. And it worked. Just stuff that makes no logical sense that you should be doing. It worked. Just go figure. And doing that, just making, like this time last year, we were at the other place that we were working with. Between the two of us who told this story, I think the two of us cleared 2022 about $26,000 total. And this time last year, we didn't have a car. We tried for about 3 months with a job to get a car and got nowhere. We ended up leaving the place just up and quit. And it's like we ended up we got a car the next week. We got approved. After we told the salesman outright, we have no income. We quit our job last week. We're looking at doing a couple other things. We still got approved.
Yep.
So then we went to working where she was working where I still work now. And I added up the numbers of several weeks ago. And if we were going to both stay there a full year, full time, it was going to be something $73,000. Just one small move, and we tripled our income.
Yep.
And I explained this to you on our personal call. And it's like, well, our goal for this year, it's like I sat down and spent $250,000 paper. What like stuff we need, some stuff we want, some stuff we need and want. But it's all gone. It's because I could hear God saying, you need to spend that money on paper. You're never going to receive it.
Yep.
He goes, roll up his sleeve. He goes, now let me do it. Watch me do it again. Triple or quadruple your income. So now it's like, doing what we were just doing, something that I've known how to do for the last 30 years of my life, we made almost $75,000. It's like kind of wrap my head around that one. It's like, okay, now that's attainable. Now we can see that 6 figures, not that far of a stretch.
Not at all. Not at all. So one of the things I shared with some of you guys as well is, so like for Julia and I specifically, one of our goals is $25,000 donated to our church. Just our church for this year, right? And you guys know we give to a lot of other things. One of the things that stood out to me though about Keith and Nicole though, I just had it. I've got it there somewhere. I just had, it's over here. The Prayer of Jabez. If you guys have not read that book, I highly encourage you to pick it up. But it's talking about expanding your territory by just asking for it, right? Literally just asking to expand your territory, and he will provide, right? So a lot of changes for a lot of people. Brenda made her move to the East Coast. We made a move to the East Coast, right? Selena started a whole new family, TI struck out with a whole new insurance agency last year as well. Jerry is completely changing industries. He went from home renovation to back to insurance, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of changes happening for everyone, right? And that's what 2024 can provide for all of us. So I appreciate all of you guys showing up today. I want to make these, like I said, more impactful. So we'll get Brian on next week, next Tuesday. So have your questions ready, and I'll prep with him a little bit and see how many questions he can answer in advance, so we can get those questions in advance to him. I want to make sure that we use his time with us wisely as well. So any other questions, comments, concerns? I'm going to leave the Zoom room open after we're done, just so everyone knows. And then I'm going to hop into like my breakout room, and I've got one meeting there right afterward. But then if you guys need to hop in there as well, you guys can do that. Okay. So anyone else, any other questions?
I'll comment. You wanted some feedback on goals, right? Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm looking at all these faces. These are the people that I've decided to lock arms with this year to grow. I think it's important every year. We've got to find the people we want to grow with. And you guys are it. I see all these faces. Through 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So let's go, guys. What I want to say about goals is goals are awesome, but they can be really bad also. I know that's deep, but I think what happens is people, they set goals, they don't see themselves obtaining their goals, so they just stop, right? So I'm going to encourage you that as you set your goals to also adjust them and evaluate them through the year. So if you need to stop and you need to readjust, if you need to restart, it's okay. You can always start. God's grace is new every day. So you have to take your goal, you have to put action to it, right? It's not going to happen just writing it out. You got to put the action behind it. Be very intentional this year. People are making New Year's resolutions. No resolutions for me. Intentionality. But also reward yourself when you hit those small goals. The little ones, do something fun and just reward yourself in a small way, so that you're building that constant positive reinforcement with your mindset. But also just really taking the mindset that if you're not hitting your goals, you can reevaluate. Just don't stop. So that's all I have to say. Amen.
Yep. No, and that's exactly what we did talk about on the second session. So Val, we still have to have our first one. That way we can have our second one. And that, right, Susan? I'm going to pick on Susan because Susan was one of those ones. And then I'll go to you, Selena. But with Susan, I told her, I said, look, we're going to, there has to be an action plan behind it, because too many times, and I've been guilty of this. I told some people this last week, right? I went back and I looked at goals for everyone from 2022 and 2023, right? And there was some things on there that just never even got started, and I take responsibility for my part in that as well, because I have to, I have to understand, as a leader, I have to grow, right? So Selena, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, as far as goals and stuff, I think what Brenda, I think, said earlier about like comparing yourself to those that are on like the leaderboards. I think even for myself, you get caught up in it because they are doing really awesome, and it's great that those things are possible. But I think sometimes you can feel, or I could feel like, you know, if I'm not doing 25,000 every month, you know, like I'm slacking, I'm behind, like those kinds of things I think are easy to start thinking about. And so like one of the things I'm really focusing on this year is just like focusing on my own situation. Like my whole goal this year is just to be profitable. I've been doing insurance for a long time, like half in, half out. So this year we're committing to it, and I just want to be profitable. I just want to make money. I just want to be able to replace my other income. And that's the thing that I'm focusing on, and not so much like how other people are doing. Like it's great that those things are possible, but like it doesn't mean that I'm doing worse. It just, my situation is different. And that's all that it means. And that's a very great goal to get to, like later on down the line, like how we were saying, you know, if my goal is 100,000 for the end of the year, like my real goal is like 4,000 a month. Does that equal 100,000? No, but if I can hit 4,000, then I can build on it, and then we can start, you know, tumbling down. Like the year is it's a long amount of time. So I think just keeping that in mind, like the people that you're comparing yourself to, you have no idea what their struggles are, what their goals are, what their income needs are. Like you don't have no idea what they're doing. And so I think just keeping your eyes focused on yourself, I think is pretty helpful. So that's what I'm doing here.
Oh, perfect. And I typed that in there, right? So I saw, I mean, we've all heard it. We've heard Lisa talk about it before, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. But we were driving around somewhere in North Carolina the other day, and this was painted like on a 40-foot wall. Comparison is the thief of joy. And I just looked at Julia. I was like, that's what they talk about, right? All the time. It's just like, I mean, we have to stop comparing ourselves to others. So if you guys haven't noticed, and for those of you guys that are new, you guys probably don't know what I'm talking about, but like I stopped promoting the daily huddle, right? And the reason I stopped promoting it isn't for any other reason other than the fact that what the feedback I was getting is people were like, well, how come I can't be the agent of the day? You know, like they kept comparing themselves to agent of the day. You know, like there was a text message that was sent out this weekend. Bo Hirschfield has net placed $925,000 in the last 2 years. Well, I'm sorry, everyone on this call, but not all of you guys are going to deposit $925,000 in your personal pen in 2 years. Bo's a different beast, right? Like, and that's why they call him Beast Mode Bo. There's a few things that Bo has going on for himself. He's a single male, right? Has a lot of stamina to work a lot of hours, and he can put up with a lot of crap mentally, right? Because he was a musician. Anyone that knows a musician, musicians are actually very strong mentally because they go through a lot. They get put down a lot, right? They go through the trenches. But like, I'm not going to write $925,000 of business in the next 2 years. No, and I'm not even going to try, right? So like that's why I've stopped promoting the daily huddle, because a lot of people are getting discouraged by it. They're like, well, I can't be that person. I mean, there was 2 days in the last 30 days that I wrote over $8,000 in a single day. I wasn't even agent of the day on those days. And you would think, right? Like writing $8,000 2 days, you know, in 2 separate days, that you would be agent of the day one of those days. The person that was agent of the day that I wrote the most was 45,000. Tyler Snook and the other guy, I forget his name, but like both of them were like over 70 grand, right? And if I would have allowed myself to compare myself to them, I would have been upset, right? But you know what? I sent Drama a text message. I said, you know what? That's awesome. I'm so happy for those people that they wrote that much business, right? Because I had a great day. Those people had a career day. You know, that's a career day. That's something that, you know, it doesn't happen all the time. And I can't be upset about the fact that I wasn't, you know, agent of the day. You know what was cool though? I deposited 60 grand over the last 30 days. That's what's awesome, right? Like, I mean, that's phenomenal. But that took a lot of work, right? And you guys know my struggle. From basically July until December 1st, I didn't have any income come in because of all the license issues I went through, right? So go ahead, Susan.
Well, Tyler's doing advanced market, so you're going to have a big payday when.
Yeah, he's hunting whales.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's not even a comparison of like if you
Yeah.
aren't doing that all the time. Just and he was like the top 5 in New York, or was it New York Life?
Yeah.
Or one of the financial guys across the country. So that's
But
just
that's
to
also, but that
frame
furthers
that.
the point, right? Is like, as a new agent coming in and you see someone doing that,
Yeah.
not knowing that this person is writing advanced markets, came with 15 years of advanced market experience. You're looking at those numbers and you're like, oh my goodness, why am I not that good? I only wrote $1,200 this week. What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. And that's what I'm trying to get away from. Is yes, I love recognition. I love recognizing you when you guys do awesome. But if you're not gonna, if it's not gonna be appreciated across the board, what's the point, right? So I will reach out to you guys individually. We'll post it within our WhatsApp and things like that. But I mean, guys, don't compare yourselves to others, please. Just know that you're running your own race. And if you guys have an opportunity, go onto HQ, type in Ashley Tarr. I think if you type in Ashley Tarr run race, it'll bring it up. She gave an amazing speech 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago, at one of the conferences about running your own race. And it's phenomenal. Like, just great words to listen to. Anyone else? No? All right, like I said, I'm gonna leave this room open, guys. I'm gonna pop over to my other room. I got a meeting with Brenda real quick, and then after that, if you guys want to hop in there, I'll pop back in here once we're done. Okay. I want you guys to have a great rest of your day and Happy New Year.